Hello, designers. Welcome to a reasonably quick and focused four-part series on layout and typesetting using Adobe InDesign. Part one will be document setup and getting your master pages all ready to go for your content and layouts. Let's get into InDesign straight away, even though I have pretty much what I need here in front of me. I'm going to start from the Create New button to give us a new document dialog here. I'm going to go to the Print tab. I want letter size document, 8.5 by 11. If your units are on points or picas, go ahead and change those to inches so that the measurements make sense to you. Of course, we want to leave facing pages checked so that we can work in spreads, as you always should when you're laying out a book. Uh, Next move for me, although I don't generally set columns out here. I like to set everything on my master page with my grid. What I am going to do is set my column gutter. This is a preference of mine, and I will show you why I do that in part two. I'm going to open up the margins here. I'm going to take my top margin down one click, and then I'm going to uncheck the proportional change for these measurements. I'm going to bring my bottom up to 1 inch. My inside, I have to account for a binding if I would have to actually print this and bind it. So I'm going to bring that up just over a 1/2 inch. Most printers will tell you that a 1/2 inch is the minimum safe distance to a binding. And then I'm going to leave my outside the same as my top margin. I find this makes my layouts a little more dynamic. Generally, any kind of default setting or value within software isn't going to be the most interesting for you to use. So I always encourage people to not use default settings, default typefaces, all of those sorts of things. Whether I think I need it or not, I'm going to go ahead and set a bleed here just in case. This is the industry standard 1/8 of an inch 0.125. I'm going to go ahead and hit create. In my pages panel, I'm going to go up to my masters straight away. And first thing we need on here is a grid. So I'm going to hit create guides. I do have my preview on. I am also fit to margins. I am very specific about the way I set my margins for usage. I do not need or want my guides out there. I'm going to set my row and column gutters the same as what I set my column gutter out in the document setup to keep my spacing consistent. For rows, I'm going to go ahead and do an 11 by 9 here in this demo. That worked out nicely when I was looking at it earlier. So here's our grid. We are ready to go. The only other thing that we need out here are our page numbers. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a text box here. And then throughout this demo, what I'm going to be using is the text from the AIGA sample proposal design for democracy. If you would ever need a good proposal for reference, this is posted on the AIGA site. What I did to get this set up was copy and paste all the text out of there and then go through and organize it a little bit and pull out all the extra line breaks you'll find copying out of a PDF document. There are a lot of extra line breaks in there. So I have kind of pre-worked to set up. So I had content to use here. I'm going to go ahead and copy this line, which is what I decided I'm going to use as my page indicators. What I want to do is number one, I want to have the page number first. I'm going to bookend my page numbers, which means on the left-hand page, I'm going to go to the outside, and on the right-hand page, I'm going to go to the outside, just as the name would indicate. Bookends are, back in the day, on a bookshelf, you would put them on the left and right hand outside of books to hold them up straight, is where that came from. Under the type menu, we need insert special character. We're going to go to markers and current page number. Here on the master pages, that's going to be showing a placeholder because I want a consistent amount of space after no matter how many characters are in front of this. I now want to go back to the type menu, insert white space, and I want an NEN space. That is numerically half the value of what your body copy is set to. The way the InDesign software works, that's half the value of a hard character space if your point was set at 16 point type. All right, now that I have my page number and my space, I'm going to go ahead and paste in the text that I pulled from outside there in my AIGA document. I'm going to go ahead and copy this over to the right hand side, and I'm going to delete my spacing. Remember, I need my page number to the outside on this side. So we're going to pull back out the AIGA. I believe I went ahead and pulled the year out all the way throughout all of this. I'm going to get down to where I have completely pulled out the hard space in between the folio text and the page number. I'm going to go back to the type menu, insert special character, insert white space, EN space, so it's consistent with the other side. And there we go. Now, at this point, let me go back to spread view. I'm going to select both of these. I now have to choose what typeface that I'm going to work in later for the remainder of this demo. And I do believe I am going to go with something nice, light, easy, and classic. I'm going to go with Helvetica Neue. And for my page numbers, I'm going to go light and condensed. I like my page numbers very small, so we're going to go down to, let's go 9. We won't go totally tiny. And I do want to make sure my kerning is set to optical here, just because I don't like any of the auto settings here in my typesetting. I'm going to go ahead and click my line spacing down, even though that will not change because obviously my page numbers are going to be what they are and won't be any different. All right, I accidentally grabbed a guide there. Now, I am going to inset by 2 columns my page numbers. And to ensure that my right hand page number always stays in the right place, I'm going to flush right align that page number. That'll also make sure that if I would get up into 3-digit page numbers, I am absolutely not going to run out of space with my page numbers. And then I'm just sizing these boxes consistently and then double clicking here in the bottom middle to auto size the height. Now what I want to do is grab both of these, and I'm going to change my reference point to top left. So I now know the top of these text boxes is sitting at 10 inches. That's right on my margin. Actually, I'm going to go by page edge. If I set that to bottom, this Y value is now showing me how far down the page my bottom is. So I have an 11-inch tall page. It's a letter size page. If I put my bottom at 10.5, that means I have a half inch to my page edge. Um, Page edge safe distance is always going to be a 1/4 inch, so I'm actually way to the good on that. So I'm going to go down a little farther. All right, here's what I'm looking at for setup, and that concludes part 1.